Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Expansive Astrology, where every Sunday I bring you a new video about how we can use the season that we're currently in to our maximum benefit. We're growing every single week using Expansive Astrology, diving into a different piece of our lives and our existence and how we're showing up every single season and really refining that piece of our lives every single season. So this is week 4 for Scorpio, our final Scorpio video. Today, we're talking all about relinquishing shame, getting rid of shame, really tapping into what we desire and like allowing that to be. Getting rid of shame, feeling more comfortable with vulnerability, feeling more comfortable with like the taboo things. Let's hop into it. The phrase for Scorpio is I desire, which is why we're talking about this. Scorpio is passionate and raw and like mysterious. It is very tapped into what it knows it wants and needs without shame. So this is the season of conquering shame, to honor our deepest desires, to live more passionately without feeling shame or without feeling like we need to defend ourselves. Like, we're always looking at what our defense mechanisms are and how we can, if we can, kind of shed some of those and step into a more empowered place. This week, we're talking about honoring our desires and managing any shame that might come up along with that. Where, and bonus, like just by taking the time to really focus on and honor what it is we desire, we're actively manifesting those things just by taking this time to like consider this topic. We're manifesting those things. Where our intention goes, energy flows, right? So focusing on our desires brings energy and awareness to those things. So let's do this. Don't be afraid to be a person who has desires. We often shut this part of ourselves down for all sorts of reasons, right? Out of fear, fear of not being able to obtain what it is we desire, fear of desiring too much, having too much desire, fear that we don't deserve the things that we desire, or that it's just not ever going to happen for us, fear that it makes us greedy or needy or high maintenance, right? Like there's all kinds of reasons that that we shut desire down at the first sign, right? So first off, it's important to know exactly what is coming up for us as far as any fear or guilt or difficulty with claiming what it is you desire. So as we're having this conversation and exploring this, make sure that you're tapping into the side of you that has desires, right? And that's more human and primal and shameless, and tap into that other side of you too, the more proper, careful side of you that doubts or questions or has stories about what your desires are. Notice what comes up for that careful side of you, that that side of you that doesn't even bother naming or going after your desires, because you're fine, because things are fine. Things are fine. You don't want to be too much or need too much or ask for too much, so you're fine. Things are fine, right? Shine a light on that side of you so we can evaluate it and be with it and chat with it without it sneakily inserting the narratives that we're actively trying to manage or overcome. If we don't look at this side of us that is operating, that wants to be proper and careful and not too much and not too needy and not too greedy and all of those things, like, good thing we have that side of us, right? Because we don't want to be unrealistic. We don't want to be too needy or greedy or high maintenance, or um, we want to be careful and we want to be proper, I guess, kind of. It depends. And there's that other side of us too, that side that we're really working to tap in with and be with, that more primal side of us that has a bunch of desires and like doesn't really care. um, if we don't shine a light on that side of us that is trying to protect us, the side of us that is trying to keep us from being too much, it just keeps inserting the narratives that we're trying to overcome, right? These stories that come up from that side of us need to be examined so that we can deal with it. So we can look at it and deal with it, right? When we don't look at the narratives that perpetuate shame, shame just goes on living its life. We have to have the willingness to really shine a light on those sides of us and talk to those sides of us, open a dialogue with those sides of us. Um, I've said this before, receiving is one of the hardest things that we can do. In fact, I think Lindsay Mack said that first. Receiving is one of the hardest things that we can do. So, what comes up for you around receiving? Asking for things, dreaming of more. Many of us have a lot of shame when it comes to desire. So, what comes up for you around receiving and dreaming and asking for more? What gets in your way of asking for more, of dreaming for more, of reaching for more? What were you told about desire and about receiving when you were younger? How was it modeled for you? Were your needs met and honored, or were you encouraged to quiet yourself for the convenience of others? Why can't you, or why shouldn't you be a person who has desires? What was told to you? What were you told it means about you or other people when you're too needy? Narratives of being sinful might come up, being spoiled, high maintenance. Those are some of the ones that I hear most often. What do you desire? Name it. Claim it. This is the season. And I love this timing. We're nearly finished with the calendar year, right? And we're about to enter the last third of the zodiacal year. So let's go for it. Let's be really intentional with our time here. What is it that you desire? Really, learn to be shamelessly specific about this. Be sure to tend to any embarrassment or shame as it comes up, or fear as it comes up, and claim what you want very specifically. Mel Robbins speaks about the importance of getting really specific around those areas where you say that you're fine. That more careful, proper side of you that says that things are fine. Are you fine? Are you fine with pizza when what you really want is tacos? Are you fine even though you're carrying around extra 40 pounds that you wish you'd lose? Are you fine even though you haven't had sex in months? I mean, like, yeah, you're probably are, right? You're probably fine. You're probably fine with pizza. You're probably fine with your body. You're probably fine with just masturbating to get off. But here's the thing, we're seeking more than fine, so much more than fine. So the trick is to get even more specific. Are you wanting to lose 20 pounds, or do you want to feel sexy? Do you desire like a more stable job, or do you want to make six figures? Do you want more vacation time, or do you want the freedom to travel where you want to when you want to? Do you want your partner to text you more often, or do you want to feel more desired by them? Do you want to get laid, or do you want to feel like a sensual goddess? What is it that you want? Like, don't play it safe here. Name it really boldly and really specifically. And note the privilege in some of those examples, right? Vacation time and travel and high salaries are certainly like hugely privileged things, and I have a point in using examples like that. I want you to dream really fucking big. I want you to tap into your desires. The trick here isn't in being specific enough to have the audacity to state, I want to make $300,000 a year and never have a car loan again, while also being open enough and loose enough that you don't form like unhealthy attachments to those things, that your happiness doesn't become dependent on hitting those wild goals. For example, there's a difference between writing a list of qualities you'd like to see in a partner and having a long ass list of deal breakers, right? With one, you're manifesting, you're setting your intentions, you're being with what it is you want, and with the other, you're being stubborn. You're being stubborn and like too fixed. Scorpio is known for having like strong attachment, which is exactly why the biggest work that Scorpio is here to do is around the death card. It's around um, endings, letting things end, letting things go, loosening up on attachment. So don't be too attached. And we're going to talk a lot more about this in Sagittarius season. um, uh, but there's definitely like a pretty fine line, or just a fair distinction there between um, naming what it is you want and allowing yourself to want it, and like really being with that side of yourself, and also not making it so that your happiness is dependent upon anything outside of you, really. So this is the season to tap into our innermost desires, and it's also the season of letting go, death, rebirth, regeneration. So we're talking about loosening up on our attachments as well. There's a beautiful middle ground to be found here, that space between being a person who is passionate and raw and holds desires shamelessly, while also being a person who loosens their grip and welcomes in change and knows that what is meant to be will be. As cliche as that is, this is also what it is to be living a soul-centered existence. Soul isn't afraid of losing something because it knows that things come and go. It knows that we can't ever lose what is meant to be with us at the time, which is so cliche, but it's so true. And soul knows this. It's ego that gets really stuck um, when it comes to that sort of thing. So another great trick to employ here is to remain open to the fact that you might not even totally know what it is that you want, let alone what is best for you. You might desire one thing so deeply. You may even be like totally convinced that it is the thing that you need. And the universe might have something totally different in store for you that's completely better. This is why one of my favorite mantras is for myself is I'm always saying this to myself. I am open to being pleasantly surprised by the universe. I'm open to being pleasantly surprised by the universe. We don't always know what is best for us. And I like to believe that something even better is always on the way. And I want to make it abundantly clear that I am open to whatever that might be. This is another reason I really like to frame my desires in terms of feelings rather than achievements or things. Do I want to make six figures, or do I want abundance and spaciousness and freedom in my finances? Do I want to lose 20 pounds, or do I want to feel sexy and confident when I get dressed in the morning? Framing things in terms of feelings rather than achievements helps me remember not to attach too tightly to the specific things. It also makes it more accessible, like it makes it a little easier to start to grasp onto those feelings and to start to step into that for myself. So let me take a sip of water. Let's chat about shame. Scorpio has no time. There's no room for shame. Scorpio is unapologetic. There's no room for shame in the underbelly of the universe, right? Shame doesn't belong here. Shame, and I can't talk about shame without talking about Brene Brown. Of course not. And Brene Brown describes shame as the intensely painful feeling or experience of believing we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love or belonging. So shame happens when we other ourselves, when we get stuck in all the ways that we're different and different from those around us. This is so relevant when we're talking about desire and those things, those more primal, very human things that we want. So let me also define taboo for you. Those things that are taboo that maybe we don't want to admit that we want, or that we're afraid what it means about us. Taboo things. A taboo is a social or religious custom prohibiting or forbidding discussion of a particular practice or forbidding association with a particular person, place, or thing. So, in many ways, desire itself is taboo, let alone some of the things that might come up around what we desire. We're learning and we're leaning into this more for two reasons. The first is to really honor our humanness and also to like heal ancestral wounding. In terms of honoring our humanness, like giving a voice to our human primal unedited selves, to our inner kid, where we're learning to feel more comfort in our humanness, to accept our humanness, and realizing really that we are all pretty much the same. All of us experience desire to differing degrees and in differing ways, sure, but we all want to feel accepted. We all want to feel free. We all have vulnerabilities and desires and soft, gushy insides that want to hug every now and then. So don't be ashamed of that. Don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid to give a voice to that. And part of why it's so important and so helpful is because we appreciate others the more human and relatable they are, right? We feel comfortable around other very human humans. We don't feel as comfortable around people who never have problems and who appear perfect. The more relatable, the more approachable. And acceptance and connection are like the opposite of shame. So don't be afraid to be human and be vulnerable. Allow yourself to be those things. Be relatable, be approachable, authentic, be real. Know that you're worthy and you're totally valid and totally not alone in those things that you want and those things that you feel. Learn to be, learn to find more comfort with vulnerability. Don't be so defended. Scorpio is kind of known for being defended. Um, and Scorpio asks us how we can be more comfortable in vulnerability without feeling so defended. How can you feel more comfortable being your vulnerable human self without having to without feeling like you have to defend yourself? Shame is made of predatory brain chemistry, if I've ever heard. That it's made of that function in our brains that treats us like weak little prey and keeps us isolated from the rest of the world, from protection. Um, the very nature of what shame is makes it difficult for us to share our experience with others, to share what we want, what we desire with others. Out of self-preservation, we keep these thoughts and feelings stuffed down, we keep them to ourselves and create and feed shame within ourselves. We present this hard, scary, scorpionic exoskeleton, even though we're really just so human and soft and needy and gushy underneath, right? So we can learn to be less defended the more we increase our tolerance for vulnerability. The more we flex our vulnerability muscle, the less shame we experience. And we do that by really being with that human side of ourselves and not being afraid, not shying away from looking at that human side of ourselves. And when I talk about being vulnerable, I'm not talking about like putting yourself in danger. Right? I'm not talking about putting yourself in emotionally unsafe places. This takes like vulnerability takes practice and it improves little by little, which is great. And the best way to get there is to allow yourself to improve little by little by using safe little tests. Like in the safest way, test your vulnerability with people, with yourself first. Like really give a voice to that side of yourself. Test your vulnerability with people that you know, love, value, and accept you and respect you in ways that can like stretch your comfort zone, but that you know will be accepted and respected and loved. Um, Say you want tacos, even if everybody else in the car wants pizza. It's my favorite example for people who are um, who are like overly people pleasing or who struggle to name their desires. Like if you want tacos, say you want tacos. And sometimes that can be the hardest thing in the world. Or if they put whipped cream on your coffee and you ask for no whip, tell them. Tell them. That can be so hard for people. Um, and like those are safe ways to uh, just flex this muscle, to flex your ability to do something like that. So here's the deal. You're a human. You're innately imperfect, innately needy, innately worthy of experiencing and seeking and claiming more in this life. So don't feel ashamed or embarrassed or afraid of doing that, and don't hold on so tightly to certain ideas or relationships, or things. Don't hold on to certain ideas of what it is that you want and desire so tightly that you miss what's already here, or that you miss what might come up for you that you didn't even see coming. Don't miss those things by holding on so tightly to what you think you want and need. Thanks for being here. I really hope that this served. You've got work to do. We've got work to do. So go get passionate with yourself. Write love letters to yourself. Like, what do you want? What are you seeking? What are you going to create for yourself? Why are you ashamed? Like, let's really go for it. What is there to lose? And by not doing this, like there is so much to lose. So I hope this served. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. It means the world to hear from you. If you're not subscribed, I'd love to have you subscribe, like the video if you liked the video, if you like what I'm doing here. I'm trying to grow my channel and get expansive astrology into the hearts and the brains and the ears and the hands of more people, because I really believe that the more that we allow ourselves to expand into the next most embodied, empowered version of ourselves possible, the whole planet benefits and we all feel better. So that's my goal. I so appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. I will see you in Sagittarius season. It's almost the end of the year. Take good care of yourself. I will see you next time. Bye.